I lived on Long Island for over 45 years before I moved my own family and my real estate business right here to coastal North Carolina. So I understand the decision a lot of families back home are wrestling with right now. So in 2026, more Long Island families are starting to seriously ask the same question that would have been hard to imagine years ago. Does staying here still make financial and lifestyle sense for the next chapter of our lives? And this isn't about people suddenly disliking Long Island. I love it there. Many people love it there. Families have roots there, careers there, and entire communities have been built over decades. But what's happening now is that the numbers and the daily pressure of life, forcing a lot of families to pause and to reevaluate a lot of different things. So for many households, the biggest factor is housing costs. Home prices across Nassau and Suffolk County remain high compared to much of the country. And once you add in property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, the monthly carrying cost of a home can take up a very large portion of any family's income. So even families earning, the strong incomes often find themselves asking the same question. Are we getting the quality of life we want for the amount of money that we're spending each month? Now, that question tends to open a door to a bigger conversation. Families start looking at their overall financial picture. They look at housing costs, property taxes, commuting, childcare, activity for the kids, and everyday expenses. Now, over time, a lot of people begin to feel like too much of their income is tied up just maintaining, the basic things of life. For some families, that pressure shows up when they think about upgrading to a larger home. For others, it shows up when property taxes continue rising year after year after year. And for many people, it's the combination of housing costs, taxes, and the overall pace of life that feels, overwhelming. Now, that's why you're hearing more conversations about families exploring other states and other lifestyles. Now, many people are starting to ask whether they could have more space, lower monthly expenses, and a different pace of life somewhere else. And not necessarily because they want to leave Long Island behind. I don't think anybody does, but because they're looking for a lifestyle that feels more sustainable long term. So another factor that comes up frequently is time. Life on Long Island often involves long drives, heavy traffic, packed schedules, and a pace that can feel nonstop. For some families, that works well, but for others, especially as their priorities change, the daily, pace of life becomes something that they begin to question. What I see happening with many families is a shift in perspective. Years ago, the goal for many people was simply to make it work on Long Island. But now more families are stepping back and asking whether there might be another way to structure their lives like I did. They start asking whether their money could go further somewhere else, whether they could reduce some of the financial pressure, and whether a different location might allow them to build the kind of lifestyle they actually want to live. Now, that's really the heart of why this conversation is happening more often than now. And it's not about people fleeing Long Island overnight. The region is still home to millions of people, and many families will stay there for the rest of their lives. But what has changed is that more people are openly evaluating whether the cost of staying still lines up with their long-term goals. And that's where I relate strongly to this conversation, because I went through the exact thought process with my own family. We love pretty much everything about Long Island, but we also started looking at the numbers, the pace of life, and what we wanted the next stage of our lives to look like. Eventually, we realized that making a move could allow us to build a lifestyle that fit our priorities better and at a less of a price. That decision is different for every family. Some people want more space. Some want a lower monthly cost of living. Some want, the quieter pace. Some people, they want to be closer to the water or spend more time outdoors. Others are thinking ahead towards retirement, or simply, they want more financial flexibility. So usually it's not just one reason. It's a combination of financial factors, lifestyle preferences, and a long-term planning that pushes families to start exploring other options. And that's why I believe this topic resonates so much right now. When people talk about Long Island families leaving in 2026, what they're really describing is a growing number of households rethinking what they want their future to look like. And they're asking honest questions about their finances, their stress levels, their time, and their quality of life. And for some families, that leads them to stay right where they are. But for others, It leads them to explore places that might offer different balance between cost, lifestyle, and opportunity. And that's what I see here. And that's the conversation I like having with people today. You know, not hype, not pressure, not a sales pitch, just an honest discussion about what life looks now for me, you know, having left Long Island, what people want their future to look like, and whether a move could actually improve things for their family. Because at the end of the day, leaving Long Island isn't just a real estate decision. This is a life-changing decision, and it's about deciding where your money goes, how your days feel, and what kind of environment you want to build for your family moving forward. You know, and if you're someone on Long Island right now, you know, who has started asking those questions that I once was asking, you're definitely not the only one. More families are having that same conversation right now than they were just a few years ago. And like I said earlier, I made the same exact move. I definitely don't regret it. I try to get back to Long Island as much as possible to see, you know, the friends and my family back home. You know, but this move changed up a lot of different situations in my life. And I don't want to get into it in this video, but if you want to learn more about some of the changes, reach out to me. My contact information is in the video description below. I want to love to talk to you. You know, I'll give it to you straight, you know, one Long Island person to another. You know, I got your back. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Check out some of my other videos, and I hope you have a great day.